Namaskar and good evening, everybody. I, behalf of Philosophy Family, welcome all of you to this Sunday webinar. Today we have with us Professor Kharavela Mahanti, a retired professor of history. He has a teaching experience of around 30 years. The major part of his teaching was in Ravensa University, where he served for around 22 years. He had a specialization in international affairs, but he has a great love for ancient Indian history, Indian society and culture, ancient Indian art, and also American history. Now, sir, apart from being a professor of philosophy, he's a great lover of sports, and he's fascinated by music, art, and dance. And he has a great fascination for understanding languages and also different cultures across the world. And he has a great human sense, and he's cultivating and trying to understand different human relations. And he has a great he's now focusing on the nation building and creating a disciplined society. So with this introduction, may I welcome Professor Kharavela Mahanti sir to address his lecture under the title Relevance of Mahatma Gandhi in the 21st century. Namaskar, sir. Welcome, sir.
Namaskar. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a privilege to be in the company of such a distinguished gathering. And when I was asked to deliver this lecture on Mahatma Gandhi, I said there's no way I could say no. And so let's make the best out of it. Right. The most popular Indian since Gautama Buddha is Mahatma Gandhi, who epitomized the very essence of the civilizational values inherent in Indic civilization. And these values include pluralism, compassion, empathy, and inclusiveness. And when we try to analyze these aspects of the Indic civilization culture, may I say that India is the only country apart from China which has a continuous cultural past for more than 5,000 years. And it has sustained for such a long time is because of certain values केतको मूल्यबोध उपरे बेस ହେଇଛି ବୋଲି Indian ଭାରତୀୟ ସଭ୍ୟତା and ସଂସ୍କୃତି ଏଟା 5,000 ବର୍ଷ ଧରି ଏମିତି ଚାଲି ଆସିଛି ଆଉ ସେଇ values ଗୁଡାକୁ stress କରୁଥିଲେ କିଏ ମହାତ୍ମା ଗାନ୍ଧୀ throughout ତାଙ୍କର ଯେତେବେଳେ career ଯୋଉଟା ଆମେ କହୁ, and that is why we say that the core of his teachings has relevance in all ages and for all peoples because it transcends time and space. And that is why, of course, I think Zakir Hussain had once said that Bapu's utterances must be earnestly studied in all schools and in all colleges and by all those people who have the unity of the country at their heart. Now, having said this, I would like to say here that on only two aspects, on only two fundamental truths, duita basic मूल्यबोध যেটা on truth and non-violence, এই দুইটাକୁ ଛାଡ଼ି ଦେଲେ ମହାତ୍ମା ଗାନ୍ଧୀ କହୁଥିଲେ ଯେ ମୁଁ ସବୁ ବିଷୟରେ କଥାବାର୍ତ୍ତା କରିବା ପାଇଁ ରାଜି ଅଛି and ମୁଁ ସବୁ ବିଷୟରେ ଡିବେଟ୍ କରିବାକୁ ମଧ୍ୟ ରାଜି ଅଛି, କେବଳ
Sir,
ଏଇ
sir,
ଦୁଇଟା
sir, since there are people from other languages, so please, sir, only in English, sir. Because
only in English. Okay,
okay,
okay, okay, okay. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. That's good. So So we find that so far as Mahatma Gandhi was concerned, he he epitomized the idea of non-violence and truth, and he weaponized the idea of non-violence to a degree of potency that ultimately led to the departure of the greatest colonial and imperial power from India. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you would know that violence has been the companion of mankind since the earliest times, you find violence in the savage society, you find violence in the slave society, you find violence in the Ramayana, you find violence in the Mahabharata, you find it in the ancient period, in the medieval period, in the modern period. But a man was talking of non-violence at a time when two world wars had broken out and the world had gone nuclear. At a time when nuclear explosion had taken place and nuclear bombs were being used, a man was talking about non-violence, and that is why, and he was successful in driving out the greatest imperial power, the greatest colonial power, as I said, from India, who said, who took pride in the fact in saying that the sun never sets over the British Empire. The masters of the world and the mistress of the seas ultimately had to leave Indian shores, uh, because of the fact that Mahatma Gandhi was using this weapon. He weaponized this concept of non-violence to a degree of potency that ultimately led to the departure from India. And that is why Albert Einstein had so rightly remarked that generations would scarcely believe that such a one as this had walked on earth in flesh and blood. And we find today, the irony of the situation is when we question the relevance of Mahatma Gandhi in the 21st century, he has become a bigger icon today than he was ever before. And world thought leaders like Martin Luther King Jr., Nelson Mandela, the Dalai Lama speak of Mahatma Gandhi to be their inspiration. And in fact, one of the greatest revolutionaries of the 20th century, Ho Chi Minh, would say that he is the disciple of Mahatma Gandhi. And to that end, may I say that when we talk of his relevance, may I say that today, uh, the Harvard University, in its Department of International Studies, has instituted a chair on Gandhian thought and philosophy to be studied there, to analyze nonviolence as a political concept. Even in Beijing, once upon a time, when the very thought in Beijing was so hostile to Mahatma Gandhi. Like Mao Zedong would be saying that political power flows from the barrels of a gun. But here today in Beijing, the entire Beijing University has translated the entire Gandhian literature into Mandarin, and it is being taught in the Beijing University. And of course, if you analyze the fact also, when Apple computers started their Think Different campaign, they adopted Mahatma Gandhi's face as their logo, as if there was no one else to adopt, but they adopted Mahatma Gandhi's face as their logo when they were thinking of their Think Different campaign when the Apple computers were launched. And Mahatma Gandhi, has been the one man about whom the most prolific literature has been written. So much literature about one man has been written would only go on to say how far a man had influenced modern political thought in the 20th century. Of course, criticism has been bitter also. The British would criticize him as a very crafty politician, as a utopian, as a reactionary, as conservative, and would say that absolutely has no relevance, because Winston Churchill has been one of his bitterest critics in denouncing Mahatma Gandhi. And when Gandhi was about to go to visit the Queen, he said he would not allow this man to come to the Buckingham Palace, this half-naked fakir, to come to the Buckingham Palace. And when reports would be going to him that Gandhi was on his fast and that he was fasting, Churchill would be saying that, call me when only you say that he is dead. So criticism has been so very, very prolific, so very, very what you call bitter, in the sense that they call him a crafty politician. And however, we find that taking everything into consideration, Mahatma Gandhi still remains the most complex political figure that the world has been having in the 20th century. Now, keeping this in mind, when we come to talk of his relevance, come to talk about the relevance of Mahatma Gandhi, we see that a statistics was taken. The irony of the situation is a statistics was taken when students in India, school students in India from say class 7 to class 11 were asked, what is your idea about Mahatma Gandhi? And someone would be saying that yeah, we see a head on a bald head on a 10 rupee note. Maybe this is the man who is Mahatma Gandhi. Others would be saying that we see an old man standing with a staff, wearing clothes, loin cloths up to his knees, and wearing a specs, standing with a stick, and in different parts, and we think that this is the man Mahatma Gandhi. Someone would say that on October 2nd, we have a government holiday saying that it's Mahatma Gandhi's birthday, and so we are having a holiday on the government holiday on this day. And someone else would be saying that there was a film called Gandhi. There was a film called Gandhi by this British producer, and that is how we come to know about Gandhi. So this is the state to which we have reduced Mahatma Gandhi, saying that this is what Mahatma Gandhi is all about. Now, as I was saying, the greatest contribution that Mahatma Gandhi would be making to the present generation, the lesson that he was giving was that he would never try to impose his ideas on anyone. He would never try to impose his ideas on anyone by saying that I am making mistakes. I am making mistakes. I am making an experiment. And I would not like to impose my views on others. And on the contrary, he would say that if you want to discuss anything with me where you feel that I am making a mistake, you point it out to me and I shall try to rectify myself. As I already said, except on two facts, on two principles like truth and non-violence, I am prepared to talk on anything, discuss on anything that you would like to discuss with me. And that is why Acharya J.B. Kripalani has said that as yet there is nothing called Gandhism, ISM, Gandhism, because when you talk of an ism, you talk about a dogma, and a dogma naturally operates within a fixed political, social, economic system, which Gandhi never thought about. And that is why he says, Acharya Kripalani says that it is only a Gandhian way and Gandhian outlook that which is neither rigid nor formal nor final. It still goes on. The process of evolution is going on. Gandhian thought is being analyzed and is being discussed, because Gandhi never said that what I say is infallible, that what I say is the ultimate truth, except, as I said, the two facts of truth and non-violence. And that is why Acharya J.B. Kripalani is of the idea there is nothing as yet as we call Gandhiism, because once you add ism, as I said, that you develop a dogma, and Gandhi was never dogmatic in his views. Today we find the surname Gandhi is not merely a surname, it is an idea. Gandhi represents the idea of India. And what is that idea of India? We said that India has evolved through this value system of pluralism, where you have different shades of opinion flourishing simultaneously, going on together. Pluralism, compassion, empathy, and inclusiveness. Now, when you analyze Mahatma Gandhi, you would find that at one end he would be linking people like Siddhartha Gautama, Mahavira Vardhamanam, Ramakrishna Paramahamsam, Rabindranath Tagore, and on the other end, he would be linking people like Leo Tolstoy, George Bernard Shaw, Bertrand Russell, Ruskin, all these people taken together. And of course, the 17th century philosopher John Locke, liberal ideas that he would be getting from it, having acquired all the, and yes, of course, I've forgotten these names, Jesus Christ and Muhammad also. So acquiring ideas, but taking these ideas from different shades of opinion, Gandhi would be evolving a philosophy of his own. He was never swept off his feet. He was allowing all influences to flow over him, but he was never swept off his feet. And he would be thinking that what would be the best in the circumstances for India and for India's future that we would be talking about. Right. Now, when you analyze the Gandhian philosophy, you'd find that his philosophy was based on the two fundamental freedom, fundamental ideas on human emotions like love and fear. Love and fear, which he derived from Bertrand Russell's philosophy, where he would be saying that the two fundamental emotions that guide human relationship are love and fear, where love love creates a sense of love creates a sense of what you call creativity inspires creativity. Fear leads to degeneration. And here you would be saying that if there is fear, there would be no freedom. As long as there is fear, there would be no freedom. And he says that freedom is an innate state of mind, but it is constantly, constantly uh, tra- constantly traced by what you call a pervading sense of fear, leading to a sense of helplessness that is born out of fear. So as long as, and he realized this in South Africa, when he realized that there is a sense of fear in me, that I am afraid, that I'm fearful of the punishments that the white people are giving in me. And this was the moment when the truth dawned on him, when he came to know that since I am fearful, since I am scared, I am not able to face the sticks of the white people, I need to conquer fear. As I say this, I need to conquer fear. Unless I conquer fear, I cannot ask my people, the Indians here, to stand behind me and to face truth. So he said that truth for me at this time is that I am fearful, that I am scared. And that for me, as long as I do not conquer this fear, as long as I don't conquer fear, I cannot face them. So from here we find the idea of satyagraha is emanating. Satyagraha, the desire for the truth. Satya for agraha, for satyagraha, and that is how the concept of satyagraha has evolved. And we find that when he realized that this is the truth, that I must accept the truth, that I am scared, unless I win over my fear, I cannot face the people. That is the moment when truth dawned upon him, and he said that this truth is God, because this is teaching me, giving me the lesson that unless I get over my fear, I cannot face the people, and I cannot ask the Indians to join me in my movement campaign against the people that I am about to lead. So, leveraging truth allowed Gandhi to scale his movement, because many movements do not reach their promised potential because they are often fueled by ambition and opportunism. Whereas we find Gandhi did not allow such narrow considerations to contaminate his movement. Now, many people say that Gandhi's philosophy was merely political, which is not wrong, because it was a comprehensive program. Gandhi's philosophy was a comprehensive program which was not merely political, it was social as well as economic. And in every sense, Gandhi said that true freedom shall prevail only when the individual can speak his mind without fear. And this could be possible only when the state was not omnipotent, the state was not muscular, or the state was not militant. As long as an individual, till such time as an individual is not able to express his thoughts without fear, true freedom will not come. And true freedom cannot come as long as the state is omnipotent, as the state is militant, as the state is muscular. And therefore, he said he would be, he would be borrowing ideas from Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, actually. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa would be saying that there are as many ways as there are ideas. In Bengali, they would be saying Jotomat Totopot. There are as many ways to reach the ultimate truth as there are ideas. So allow ideas to flourish. That is what you call pluralism. In a democracy, pluralism is so very, very vital. To allow different thoughts to flourish is so very, very vital. Without it, the moment you try to curb one's voice, the moment, because as we understand, dissent is the essence of a democracy. Without dissent, there cannot be no democracy. And to make dissent does not mean that you are an enemy of the state or an enemy of the country. So that is what he tried to impress upon the Britishers. Allow us to speak, allow us to say, let different thoughts flourish. And as Voltaire would be saying that I may not agree with you, but I shall protect you with my life, your right to say what you want to say. I may not agree with you, but I shall protect you with my life, your right to say what you want to say. So that is the essence of what you call Gandhian philosophy and thought, that pluralism, compassion, and empathy to understand someone else's view, and then inclusiveness, taking all into and making what you call the idea of one family. Humanity is one family. Now, it is here actually a dichotomy appears. A dichotomy comes in the sense that when he was talking about these things, there is a dichotomy between the historical Gandhi and the civilizational Gandhi. When you talk of the historical Gandhi, it is plain and simple that Gandhi was born on such and such date at such and such place, that his parents were so and so, and that he studied this and went there. And what is important about the historical Gandhi is that as long as human rights, freedom of thought, speech would be taught about, and freedom, liberation of states from tyranny is thought about, everyone would invoke Mahatma Gandhi. Like we said, global thought leaders like Martin Luther King Jr., like Nelson Mandela, like Dalai Lama, like Ho Chi Minh have been invoking Gandhi, to the extent that till very recently, where Nargis Mehmoodi in Iran is being inflicted such torture and has been imprisoned for such a long time, she's been fighting for rights of women, the reform agenda that she's been talking about, the rights of women, the reform agenda that she's been talking about in what you call this very, very, what you call fanatical regime that rules in Iran, the Khomeini regime that rules in Iran. She invoked the idea of Mahatma Gandhi also, that my campaign, my movement is essentially peaceful, and therefore so as we say here, till when you invoke Mahatma Gandhi, it is quite simple, it is quite okay that Mahatma Gandhi would be talked whenever there is a freedom movement or challenge to what you call human rights comes into consideration. But the real problem comes when you talk about civilizational Gandhi, because Mahatma Gandhi from the very beginning, was against the Western civilization, in the sense by saying the Western civilization, the way they are trying to impose what you call capitalism in its worst form. What is globalization today? As he was saying much earlier in his writings in 1946, when he was writing the Hind Swaraj, when he was talking about capitalism, he says, today we find that the new normal we are talking about is one of, just one second, uh, the new normal that we were talking about would be rethinking Gandhi today is essential, because the new normal of the 21st century, which is individualism, which has been born from an extreme form of capitalism, an intense form of material pursuit, where The market oriented capitalism concentrates on maximization of individual gain and profit, and that here you concentrate so much on the I factor, I, me, mine, and myself. That is where Gandhi says that if this form of capitalism is introduced in India, then what he talked of, the growth of all, what we say Sarvodaya, would not be possible. Gandhi was talking of Sarvodaya, where you talk of the rise of all, not one individual uh, controlling a host of individuals in different parts of what you call, when an industrialist is leading corporate sector, as we see here, that the profit motive that we talk about. So if that is so, that would not be possible. And his philosophy was that India lives in its villages, and so instead of concentrating power in the hands of either the state or a corporate individual, power should be decentralized, where he talks of Gram Swaraj, where means of production and also distribution would be simultaneously conducted by the people at the local level, so that the benefits of what you're producing should be reaching all people, instead of so much concentration in the hands of what you call a few who control the masses. So here we see that when he was talking of this, naturally he was against this form of extreme capitalism which we find today, that has been hampering the growth of the individual self. And simultaneously, today you find that little Nepal, his ideas were actually, corroborating, rather, which would be coming later on. Nepal would be saying that gross national happiness is as important as the GDP. GDP, gross national happiness, is as important as GDP, because unless there is gross national happiness, whatever GDP you're having would be concentrated in the hands of the few. And that is exactly what Mahatma Gandhi had been saying, that Sarvodaya, the rise of all, would not be possible if these aspects are not taken into consideration. And that is why he was concentrating on the village economy, or the village cottage industry, where he thought of providing employment and food to this vast section, underfed, unemployed agricultural population of India, which needed employment and also food. So his first experiment at this economic, growth was the promotion and production of khadi. When the movement started, he said, that is how we said actually, Swadeshi would be coming in, when he would say that every house would be producing the khadi, would be spinning their own cloth, and that would generate employment and would also provide food. When that was started, actually, it was vehemently criticized, but that was the reason, when if every house would turn into a industry, small cottage industry, would provide employment. That was the reason as to why ultimately the Britishers destroyed the cottage industry in India, in whatever form, in any part of India. Cottage industries were destroyed in India. And when Gandhiji was talking about Swadeshi, that we would produce our own clothes, there was a huge bonfire of foreign clothes and all that. Own clothes, we'll be wearing them, but by breaking this, breaking these cottage industries, they would be taking cloth from India to their factories in Manchester, Birmingham, Leeds, and coming back with the same cloth and selling them at a higher price. This is what Mahatma Gandhi thought of as to how. So he was talking of Sarvodaya, he was talking of Swadeshi, he was talking of Satyagraha, and then through which he was talking of an inclusive society where the rise and growth of India would be possible. Now, socio-economic. Now here you find while he was talking of criticizing capitalism, he was at the same time saying that extreme form of communism is also not in the interest of the people, because extreme form of communism would be saying that nothing beyond the state, nothing against the state, where the individual has no existence, everything would be controlled by the state, and so individual growth is stunted by extreme form of capitalism and extreme form of communism. So democracy in the circumstances was the best possible, having all its, what you call, every philosophy have their own drawbacks and also their advantages, and in the circumstances democracy of course was the best form of government. But then in a democracy, if you do not allow dissent, then that form of democracy would not be democracy, would be going to what you call extreme forms, where the state becomes omnipotent, where the state becomes militant, where the state becomes muscular. And that is why we say that when you talk of civilizational Gandhi, he poses basic questions, fundamental questions against Western civilization, and that is why the entire Western civilization at that point of time was against Gandhian philosophy, whether it was capitalism or whether it was communism. It was much, and we think that it was because India has always remained a feudal society. India has always remained a feudal society. Feudalism still prevails, and after independence, therefore, the best thing that they could have thought of was perhaps the Mahalanobis plan to have a mixed economy, because Pandit Nehru was talking about a socialistic Fabian socialism, not revolutionary socialism, but Fabian socialism, which also evolved in the West, where people would evolve, accept, instead of imposing a philosophy and idea on them, people would accept on their own socialistic principles called Fabian socialism. And so the Mahalanobis plan was adopted on a 51-49 basis, where both capitalism and socialism could thrive together. And that is how Indian economy has evolved. And now, going beyond, you'd find that very recently, Jeremy Hayman and Henry Timms have written a book known as the new power, where they say that Gandhi's greatest contribution was he lit several lamps, because his greatest contribution to the modern world was courage. He gave courage for the people to stand up and make their voices heard, so that the men in power would ultimately think and realize what could be done for the future. Now, here they say that all these corporate sectors, new business houses that have come up, and all politicians that you talk of, need to understand and appreciate what Gandhian idea of leadership was, because Gandhi separated problem from people. Problem from people in the sense he was against the problem of injustice that the Britishers were making. He was not against the British people. And his mantra was purpose over personalities. What is my purpose? Purpose is to attain. Purpose is attainment of independence of India. Personalities he had with him, there were people like Nehru, Patel, Subhash Bose, Maulana Azad, and a host of others. And with each one of them, Gandhi had differences of views, differences of ideas. Yet he knew that the purpose was independence, and for independence, they have different ideas, but they are ultimately leading to one goal, and therefore instead of confronting them, we must accept we must adjust to these ideas, take their ideas, and then move for a common purpose. And that is what actually makes Gandhi's idea of leadership a case point, a case study for Jeremy Hayman and Henry Timms, when they write this book, this new power, where they say Gandhi's ideas of leadership need to be studied by all these corporate managers and these politicians of different shades and different spheres, actually, to understand why he was ultimately successful in leading this movement, where to speak, where to stand firm, and so on. Now, coming from those ideas, coming from there, so far as we talk of relevance of Mahatma Gandhi in the 21st century, these ideas do come up where you find that Gandhi was an ardent follower of, ardent supporter of universal education. Universal education, but when he was talking of universal education, he was of the opinion that education that does not bring about human transformation is no education at all. Education that brings about no human transformation without giving importance to human values, without giving importance to social and spiritual regeneration, is no education at all. He was talking of an education where there is a holistic development of body, mind, and spirit. In his Nai Talim, the Wardha School of Education, he said that education should be so framed that vocational training would necessarily be given to these people where you come out and start working. Because he was himself saying that while learning, skill training must also be given to people. So that skill training is so important, ultimately leading to vocational training. And while talking about these things, two important things he stressed about was that discipline, discipline and civilized way of life. He was imparting the ideas of the Gurukul ashrams of the Vedic age, where a basic idea inherent in these Gurukul teachings, apart from teaching Vedic knowledge, the ideas imparted by the gurus in the Gurukul system was to develop a disciplined and civilized citizen of society. And that is exactly what Mahatma Gandhi also wanted, that education should be imparting ideas on developing a disciplined and civilized citizen of society, where every citizen, every individual would know about his rights as well as duties. When we talk, this is what is happening now. Actually, we are so very conscious of our rights, but we are forgetting our duties, rights as well as our duties. And when you read Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy in Hind Swaraj, the first thing that he would be saying is that the basic dharma, here dharma is not religion, here dharma is duty, where he says the basic dharma of every Indian should be to have what you call service for his own family. Service for his own family, because it is in the family that all what you call discipline of the first education develops or comes up. Service for the family, unadulterated service for the family. And he says that, and I'm reminded of one thing here, actually, in 1997, I think, when Mrs. Hillary Clinton visited India, she said that she was appalled by the poverty that she sees in India. But she said that she was confident that India would sustain, this 5,000-year-old culture would sustain, as long as India's family system, family bonding is intact. That is what she had said, and that is exactly what, when you talk of other people also, Napoleon Bonaparte, when he was the first consul of France, was first saying that all discipline, all civilized norms should develop in the family. If one is true to his family, he'll be true, or she will be true to the society, and then he would ultimately lead, and he would be true to his country, to his nation. So first dharma that family, Mahatma Gandhi says, is the duty and responsibility towards your family. And ironically enough, when in this age of globalization, when there is a pursuit blind pursuit for material interest. And in this age of artificial intelligence, you find that family fissures are gradually developing in India, which might lead to the degeneration of the Indian civilization, of the Indian culture. So very, very important. The new generation must understand what family values are, without which I do not think that this long, what you call a culture, this civilization would sustain further. And secondly, then he said, after family, the second major dharma is patriotism. First is family and then patriotism. And that is what he said Mahatma Gandhi has tried to impart in his teachings when he talks about these things. And so, as also simultaneously, it is not that he was rejecting, it is not that was he was rejecting modern ideas, modern thoughts. But the fact is that he was trying to inculcate a spirit where tradition, along with modernity, must be so combined that ultimately that would lead to progress. Tradition, certain traditions which are healthy, but faith, when it becomes blind, he says faith dies. So superstitions, blind faith, Mahatma Gandhi is totally against it. But then there are certain traditions which are so basic to the Indian psyche, which are so basic to the Indian culture, are traditions which need to be followed. If I may say in Oriya, like you say, parampara and parivartan, change, when they combine together, tradition and change, when they combine together, they ultimately lead to progress. That is what you would be saying. So education which fosters love, education which creates discipline, and education which provides intellectual basis for peace is the type of education that Mahatma Gandhi would be trying to speak about, trying to inculcate, trying to speak about to the modern generation when we talk about education, which he wanted to start in his Nai Talim through the Wardha school. And that form of education we find was actually being operated here in Odisha. When you refer to the education system in the Alaka Ashram, Jagat Singhpur, Gopabandhu Chaudhary, Navakrishna Chaudhary, Rama Devi, they were doing that form, they were practicing that form of education there. And here in the Satyavadi school of Gopabandhu Das, Uttal Gaurav Gopabandhu Das also, it is that kind of education that was being imparted. And simultaneously, with the importance of the mother tongue, it was essential also, like we find that today there is a great controversy regarding the knowledge, regarding what you call conversing or writing or talking in English. But one thing we need to understand, that mother tongue is your identity. But English, the only international language, that language is the language of opportunity. It is not a question of us between them. It is a question of going together, where you combine all these, mother tongue and the English language, the only international language, which will give us our own identity. In the sense, if you analyze India's condition today, south of the Vindhya mountains, you find Hindi is not yet acceptable, and they accept their regional language and then English language. So if that is so, how can we say that everything that would come up would be only in your own language, and to give up the English language totally? That is where I think questions must be raised, and that is where I think, as we say, that tradition along with change must be accepted, because faith, when it becomes irrational, ultimately dies, and therefore that needs to be understood and studied about. Next important thing, so far as relevance for the 20th century is concerned, relevance in the 20th century is concerned, is Mahatma Gandhi's ideas on environment. And today, ladies and gentlemen, ideas on environment have occupy the center stage, where the standard environmental narrative is so important. When we find that Gandhi talked about them. Gandhi talked about environmental and ecological balance, because he said no source was infinite. No source was infinite, and therefore, the way we are now going now, now we are moving the ruthless exploitation of biodiversity, depletion of natural forest cover, climate change, greenhouse effect, and uh, affecting the ozone layer. He says that individual needs to cohabit with nature, and this despoilation of nature is not sustainable. And here he says that we are trustees for the future generation. So we are coming to the trusteeship system, where we say that if we use and spend everything that the nature has, then what are we going to leave behind for the next generation? And he was against making any product that depletes natural resources without ways to replenish them, or when the production process pollutes the environment and damages the rich economy of the terrain. Now you see what you have, this discourse that has been going on, about development and displacement. May I say, in the name of development, so much is going on. Till today, people who were displaced when the Hirakud Dam was built have not yet been offered given compensation. So we must think twice. This indiscriminate felling of trees, how it affects the climatic condition, where we and till the end of the 20th century, the topmost agenda in the United Nations forum was obviously to avoid a nuclear holocaust. But by the end of the 20th century, we find other factors came in. Environment issues came in, where the United Nations organization and several international conferences are being held, so far as protecting the environment, protecting pollution, and as we say, the supposing the planet Earth's longevity is, say, about 500 years. But just an example. But the way we are going, we might see the the end of planet Earth within a course of another 50 years. That is just an example. To If you make the ratio, you'll find out what actually is the longevity of the planet Earth, and then how we are ruining what you call the only habitat mankind has. And that is so relevant, because Gandhi was saying this as early as 1946, when he was talking about these environmental concerns, environmental needs. Ironically enough, his words are being practiced. The two countries which are practicing this are actually um, Ecuador and Bolivia, where they have passed the law of nature, where they say that Mother Earth has the same right to survive as humankind. It has the same right to regenerate its cycles, to exist and persist, and that these laws have been passed there. Whereas we are talking about so many things. The Supreme Court has given a decision against dismantling of the Aravalli Hills, but still mining is going on there. Can you imagine, if the Aravalli Hills are completely demolished for mining purposes, what would be the result? That would have the Thar Desert is advancing further, and Delhi would be a part of the desertification process that is going on. But who cares? The Supreme Court has given a verdict. Like here in Orissa, a few years ago, there was this Niyamgiri. Niyamgiri is a bauxite hill, where the deposit for bauxite is only for 30 years, where the tribal population have been living there, have been worshipping there, and they consider that to be their god. And there was this talk of demolishing the Niyamgiri Hills, and then the all the protests that was going on. So development and displacement discourse needs to be very thoroughly, understood, instead of madly rushing towards what we call the corporate houses controlling all this and then driving them away. And now when these people come to say seek compensation, the government says, show us your pattas, show us your pautis. Where will they get them? So these issues need to be understood and appreciated as to why and how relevant Mahatma Gandhi is in the present context, what is going on now, so far as the environmental issue is concerned. And finally, may I say, Gandhi was the first feminist. Gandhi was the first feminist, carrying on from, say, Raja Rammohn Roy to Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. Mahatma Gandhi was the first feminist who would be saying that every girl child is a princess of the family. Every girl child is a princess of the family, and that she is as capable as her male counterparts. She is as capable as her male counterparts, and that in doing, because she can sustain, she can maintain the family, as well as she can join shoulder to shoulder with her male counterparts to lead this movement that Mahatma Gandhi was talking about. Because the first leader, so far as the concept of mass movement was concerned, the idea of mass movement was concerned, Gandhi said would not be possible as long as 50% of India's population did not join the freedom struggle that he was talking about. Unless the women force came out from their homes, apart from doing all their daily chores, came out from their homes, it would not be possible. It would not be possible for the mass movement that he was talking about. And then he was including all sections of the society, all sections of the society who had been derided, who had been discarded. Like he was talking about Harijans, now we talk about Dalits. And he said, unless they join the movement, so unless there is a joint effort by all the women force and then the other, what you call neglected section of the society, unless they join together, his mass movement, concept of mass movement, would never be successful, would never be possible. And that is why we say that his program was not merely a political program, it was economic as well as social. Many people say that he was a crafty politician. Gandhi himself has said that I am a part of politics. Politics is in me. I am there. But what kind of a politics that he was talking about? So we find here, and we would also accept that there are areas where he committed mistakes, and he admits mistakes, and there was a rift between him and his followers. Yet we find all people, combined together, all people combined together to accept his leadership. In fact, when Subhash Bose was leaving after becoming the president of the Indian National Congress, he quit the Congress, founded the Forward Bloc, yet he was the man who gave the idea, father of the nation. Many times, very often, this issue comes up, the conflict between Mahatma Gandhi and Subhash Bose. But Subhash Bose was the man who said that Mahatma Gandhi was the father of the nation. And Mahatma Gandhi said that Subhash Bose's patriotism is second to none. His INA has cast a spell on us. So views might be different. The ways are different, like Ramakrishna Paramahansa is saying, but the purpose is same, that we are heading towards this philosophy, this ideology. Okay, right. And then when the INA was formed, Subhash Bose named his brigades the Gandhi Brigade and the Nehru Brigade, and then the Jhansi Ki Rani Brigade, and then of course the Subhash Brigade. So you find here so many things have been made out, made out in politics for political ends. But when you analyze these facts, that these differences were not fundamental. There were differences of ideas, but at the personal level, there was no difference, and that taking together all people is what he wanted to convey. Now, talking about women, actually, the idea that he was giving, Mahatma Gandhi, he was trying to change the agenda from a reform-based agenda to a right-based agenda, which ultimately led Hansa Mehta in the Constituent Assembly to say that what you are giving us is not a gift. It is a matter of right that we are talking about, that the male counterpart, patriarchy is so very, very dominant, that male chauvinists are so very, very dominant, that we are giving you as the largest, that you take this. It is not a question of giving us or gifting us anything. We shall take it as a matter of right, was what Hansa Mehta was saying in the Constituent Assembly. And we find these ideas from what you call a reform-based agenda of Raja Ram Mohan Rai and also of Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. For the first time, though Gandhi was not very vocal in this actually, but he was implying that women, unless they come out and stand out for their rights, it would not be possible for his mass movement to be successful. And it's so all over India, you find that this response was so overwhelming, particularly in Odisha, where you have such women power like Rama Devi, Malati Chaudhary, Sarala Devi, Kuntala Kumari Sabat, and a host of others who participated in the movement, like you have in Iram, like you have in different parts of Odisha after the Quit India movement, and you find that it was successful in the sense that there was an uprising when after the Quit India movement, 9th August 1942, when all major leaders were arrested, the movement was taken up by the youth forces, and appeal ultimately of Mahatma Gandhi was to the youth forces. Any change wherever it comes is not possible without the support of the youth forces. And so here we find all over India and in Odisha also, it was the youth force that was taking up the second rung of leadership after all leaders were arrested after the Quit India movement. The do or die call was given, and they sustained the campaign till 1945, when you find that a real turning point in the national freedom struggle had come about, when the British were thinking of what is to be done next. And finally, so many things, all these developments, with the constitutional developments, would be coming in Act of 1900, starting from Act of 1909, Act of 1919, Act of Government of India, Act of 1935, and on that basis we find Odisha became the first state in pre-independent India to come up on 1st April 1936, a state based on the basis of language. State based on the basis of language, Orissa came up, and then 1946, when you have this interim government where both were participating. I mean, the Indian National Congress and the Muslim League were participating. Then of course, Mahatma Gandhi had become disillusioned because most of the people, power politics had come in, but then the realization would be coming. Now it is coming. Now we realize that how relevant was Mahatma Gandhi, that whatever he was saying at that point of time is still relevant today. And so finally, when we come to conclude, we find that from the word, yes, one more thing I would like to say here while talking about khadi. May I say here, when he was promoting the production of khadi, he was bitterly criticized. But today, khadi has captured the international market. So far as sartorial tastes are concerned, khadi has captured the international market. Sartorial tastes are concerned, and it is now earning a huge what you call foreign exchange reserve so far as India is concerned. And so, to conclude, we say here that from the world of politics to the ecosphere of fashion, where khadi, homemade, and all over India, you have these what you call handicraft industries producing these beautiful textiles which are exported all over the world. In Orissa, you have these Bomkei saris, Sonpuri saris, Barampuri saris, Sambalpuri saris. In Calcutta, you have what you call Dhakai, Tangail saris, Dhonekali saris, and then in South, you have the Kanjipuram saris. All handicraft industries. producing textiles which are exported, and giving providing foreign exchange to what to the Indian government. Now, from the world of politics to the ecosphere of fashion to the realm of thoughts to the sphere of well-being to the realm of thoughts to the sphere of well-being, we have been following. It is said we have been following the footsteps of the Mahatma without realizing it. Thus, whether it was the charkha or the call for satyagraha, his message resonated in the 1940s as much as it does now, almost a quarter of a century into the 21st century, a quarter into the 21st century. In fact, he is more relevant than ever before because our 24 into 7 connected lives in this digital age and the age of excess has somewhat created a hollowness within us that success, material possessions, and relationships cannot fulfill. Gandhi still remains the most influential trendsetter. Whichever area you think, Gandhi still remains the most influential trendsetter. So then the question arises, who is Mahatma Gandhi? Who is Mahatma Gandhi? Was he a trailblazer? Was he a visionary leader? Or was he an inspirational icon? We can all impose our own interpretations, but perhaps the truth is that the man himself wouldn't have cared anyway. His philosophy always was, and that is so important. His philosophy always was that whatever you do will be insignificant, but it is very important that you do it. Mahatma Gandhi said, the world, universe, India, what you will say, is so vast that whatever you do would be insignificant. But that should not deter you from doing what you need to do. And that is a lesson which we cannot forget, which we cannot ignore, which we cannot forget. And that is what we say. That is why we say that the relevance of Mahatma Gandhi in the 21st century is still so much, because otherwise the area on the in the west and in the east, in the United States of America and in the West and in the East in China, where he was vehemently criticized, today they have adopted in the Harvard University and in the Beijing University. Gandhian thought on truth and non-violence have been accepted in their departments of international affairs, and a chair has been constituted where these ideas are being imparted. And we find that global leaders, as I said earlier, are still consider him to be their final, to be their inspiration, and they consider him to be their disciple. A man like Ho Chi Minh talking about Mahatma Gandhi to be his inspiration. A man like Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King Jr., and Dalai Lama consider that Mahatma Gandhi was their inspiration. And so we find he's a bigger icon today than he was ever before, though here in India in the 21st century, we ask questions about his relevance. So we need to ponder, ask ourselves, and introspect that how actually we need to understand and appreciate Mahatma Gandhi as to how far he is practicable, whichever areas, if you think that can be acceptable, need to be accepted. And that is why Zakir Hussain has said, we need to read. How much of Gandhian literature have we read? How much of Gandhian literature have we read? Why so much has been written about that man? That needs to be understood. And so Zakir Hussain had so rightly said, as we said earlier, that in schools and colleges, Gandhian ideas and thoughts should be imparted. They need to understand Gandhi actually, what he was saying, how it could be impacted, how it could be implanted in the present day context. And anyone who really thinks of the unity of the country must have an idea of what Mahatma Gandhi had been saying, and we need to include the Gandhian studies in our school curriculum as well as in the college context, where the younger generation, the generation of the 21st century that we say here, Gen Z that we talk about, they need to understand and appreciate what Mahatma Gandhi is, and then only we can talk of India's growth and prosperity. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts on with you. I don't claim that it cannot be debated, but this is what, as a student of history, I have understood Gandhi and have accepted that he is still relevant. And as we said, that as long as historical Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi's relevance would not die as long as people, men, fight for human rights, justice. Gandhi would be invoked again and again in all parts of the world. Wherever you talk of these ideas, Gandhi would be invoked again and again as the man who has shown the path to fight against injustice, fight for sustenance of human rights, and fight for liberation, independence, and to fight for making one's voice heard by the people who are at the helm of affairs. Thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much
Thank you. My pleasure.
for your beautiful lecture. Now, this lecture is open for discussion. May I request Ranjit Ghosh, sir, to initiate the discussion? Sir, sir. Sir, please, sir, you are not visible, sir, actually.
Okay, 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 okay.
Now it's all good, sir. Uh, so I request Dr. Rajit Ghosh, sir, to have his observations and raise his fundamental questions. Over to Dr. Ghosh. Namaskar, sir. Namaskar, sir.
Namaskar.
Uh, it is nice to see Professor Mahanti, my ex-colleague of Relevance, after
Yes,
such a long time. And as usual, he is very prolific in his speech, and as well as it is very substantial. He has given the Gandhian philosophy threadbare, and I don't think that he has left any stone unturned so far as Gandhian philosophy is concerned. Still, as students of philosophy, we raise certain issues, and these issues are debatable issues so far as Gandhi is concerned. Gandhi, in my opinion, Gandhi is to be divided into two parts. The Gandhi for our personal improvement, for our moral improvement, and this Gandhi is different from the Gandhi which we find so far as his views which are applied to society and society and to politics mostly. Because you see, what let us take one by one. Gandhian philosophy of non-violence and which is a means of conflict resolution. This has been very much the question during the modern the globalized political scenario, because the real politics that is there in the present situation and the mad politicians, mad heads of the state, the way they are doing, acting in their own way. And we find, therefore, that the Gandhian principle, they never bother about this conflict resolution, but instead they try to bring more and more conflict so that they will resolve it in their own way, because conflicts are normally arise, and conflicts arise in a social structure out of different factors, but not by the whim of the leaders. That conflict that is coming out, and he used to and very simply we can straight away during the present scenario, the geopolitical situation, we can discuss about Trump. Now, what Trump in case of Trump, can we President Trump, can we find any ABC of Gandhian philosophy? Because his only primary concern is to acquire and to exploit people through power. His power, his money power. America is trying to rule over the entire world, and that is why it is creating conflicts and trying to resolve it.
yes, yes, yes.
That is where Gandhi has failed, because Gandhi's the preaching, if it is definitely it has helped different leaders of different countries to find out their ways of functioning of the state. But what about America? In America, all the Gandhian principles they follow. This is the first thing. Then, when we come to Gandhi's version of sustainable development and environment, and here also we find the industrialized countries, they have imposed on us, the countries which are underdeveloped. I don't know whether India is now a developed country or an underdeveloped country. And Indian situation is such a, I used to say that India is a perpetual paradox. It can never be a developed economy, even if whatever may be the claim of the present government. So, in that case, in the idea of sustainable development is also taking a backseat because of our policy. Because you see the development that we find in India is mostly guided by the big business houses and all the
Exactly.
agriculture.
Exactly. Exactly.
We don't give much importance to Rahul Gandhi, but he also has big two names, Adani and Ambani. But
Ambani.
they are the people who are the killers of our environment. You see,
Exactly.
the way and you see in Maharashtra, when they were trying to bring what is this is such a I there are many issues on which I appreciate the way our present dispensation and especially Prime Minister Modi functions. But the time he came, he tried to bring Japan into India by bringing bullet train, and in the process, it brought a great change into the environment of Mumbai. Because I have experienced so many deforestations have been made in order to bring the line up. I am surprised how such a man of he's a very I should say articulate man so far as the profit loss is concerned. How you could think that a person will go from Mumbai to Ahmedabad by bullet train without instead of going by plane? And even those people who will afford that bullet train, they are having their own bullet train, they are having their own personal plane, and they will take minutes to reach from Ahmedabad to Mumbai. So this is one thing. Here also is I want to say that the government has failed in maintaining sustainable development. That is one, and they are actually it is the failure of the Gandhi. It is not the failure of Gandhi, but it is the failure of this dispensation to bring the Gandhian philosophy into our structure. And another thing, you see, self-reliance and localized economy. This was important thing that Gandhi has mentioned. But here also we find many things, this Panchayati Raj or whatever it may be, they are having a secret political agenda. Instead of the economic development, instead of thinking about the self-reliance, they are trying to suppress the localized economy, I should say. Because you see, because the agenda is only one, they will win the election at the Panchayat level, then go to the assembly level, and then to the national level. So election has become, or in other words, power structure has become the important agenda where Gandhi has failed in his so this is another thing. So lastly, I should say that Gandhi is always been in Hind Swaraj, a small book, and Professor Mahanti has referred to it. This is seminal book, and there we find that Gandhi is talking about ethical leadership and social harmony. But you see, the present dispensation, they are far away from ethical leadership. They talk something, in thought they are something, but in action they are something else. Because again, the Machiavellian principle of power by any means is coming, which Gandhi rejected vehemently. So, in means here becomes a very debatable issue. And lastly, as he has properly said, Dr. Manji has said about the Gandhi's concern for environment in this structure. In this case, I will say Gandhi has said we can inculcate in our personal level, each one of us. So therefore, it is said that each one of us should try to find out Gandhi in our heart. Because when Gandhi said that nature has given us enough for our need, but it has not given enough for our greed. These things. So in this way, all these, when we talk of the relevance of Gandhi, these people have made the Gandhian principles debatable, and so many other things. These days, we find so many things where you find Erickson's analysis on Gandhi. So Gandhi's personal character has been coming to the fore these days, and his main idea is being sidelined. This is something my observation is, and Dr. Mahanti will respond to it. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I do agree with many things that you say here. Actually, he has given these views, given these ideas. Whether to accept it and how to follow it, that depends on us. He has never tried to impose his views. He says, I feel these things. And the other thing that you talked about, non-violence, when Indian soldiers were asked to participate in the First World War, he was questioned. He was questioned. You being an apostle of non-violence, why did you allow, why should you allow Indian soldiers to fight along with the British soldiers? Mahatma Gandhi answered at that point of time that they need to know the modern structure of armfare. Tomorrow, if it is necessary that we should be fighting the Britishers, the Indian soldiers must know how to use the gun that is being used. Because when it comes to, ultimately, when it comes to your survival and sustenance, you need to survival and sustenance, you have to fight for it, fight for yourself. You must learn the art of fighting. That is why I have sent it. The other issues that you said, actually, that about sustainable development and all that, that is, and on that issue, I need to say that exactly as you pointed out, he had said that if a state becomes omnipotent, muscular, or militant, then nothing will be possible. And today we are becoming an omnipotent, muscular, militant state, which will decide what we are going to eat, what we are going to wear, whom we are going to marry, or all these things, actually. So here, actually, Gandhian principles would not be applicable at all. And I find that today, for the sake of, he has become a commodity. During the time of elections, all political parties use the name of Gandhi. But that is all. And that is why we do not know Gandhi. And so he says that on two ideas only, on truth and non-violence, I will not compromise. But on anything, these are his views. He does not say that you accept my views or you reject my views. He has given these views, how far they can be implemented. Whether they can be implemented or not are being tried in those two areas, which areas originally were so very, very hostile to Gandhian thought and philosophy. And otherwise, they wouldn't have instituted a special chair, as I said, in the Harvard University, studying Gandhian philosophy and nonviolence, and Beijing University, where the philosophy is political power flows from the balance of a gun, Mao Zedong, there to talk about these ideas and translating the entire Gandhian literature into Mandarin, and people reading that is enough of evidence to say that somewhere down the line, people in the 21st century think that yes, there is a way where we can discuss these things also, Gandhian ideas also. Whether we implement it or not depends on us. Whichever, whether it is the Congress government or the BJP government, whoever is there, actually, how we implement it, how we do it is, I mean, that is debatable. How we do it, how we only invoke Gandhi in the time of elections, and otherwise there is no Gandhi actually. So that is what I feel. But one area where I think he has really touched a chord is on the issue of women empowerment and on the issue of environment.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
So
you, thank
thank
you,
you so
thank
much,
you,
thank
thank
you
you.
so much. Let us move to Dr. Alok Tandon, sir. Then we'll move to Sambasiva Prasad, sir. Alok Tandon, sir, please. Namaskar.
Namaskar. I was very keen to hear today someone is speaking on Gandhi because I don't remember anybody spoke on Gandhi on your platform before. I may be wrong. But though Professor Mohanty has given a very impassioned speech and his I must say his admiration of Gandhi is not to be questioned. But I think that leaving apart the main contribution of Gandhi in the historical context that he himself mentioned to bring an unity of majority of Indians to fight against the British and lead the struggle and lead to the freedom of the country. Apart from that, when we consider that historical context is over, now when we consider Gandhian philosophy in the modern context, we must look into his views as critically as possible because he is no more and he cannot modify his views what he was doing all through his life. And he always said that accept those views of mine which come later. So the question is we must look into first of all the failures of Gandhi. And the failures of Gandhi, I must say, not all, but only three main failures of Gandhi. First of all, he could not bring in the unity of Hindus and Muslims and could not stop the therefore the partition of the country. Second issue was the issue of Dalits. Though he fought vehemently against the untouchability, but he could not make a dent on the caste system, which still divides our society. And the third failure was his idea of development, which was centered on the village industries, and it was not acceptable and it was not adopted by the government of India.
I can't hear you.
Nowadays, the model of development what we are pursuing is far from the Gandhian model of development. So, accepting these failures, we must look into the weaknesses of Gandhian philosophy on these issues and try to find out what can we do now for these issues to resolve. One thing. Second thing is, as you said, that this whole idea of feminism. I think feminists don't accept Gandhi as a feminist, but
Hmm.
Gandhian contribution to the cause of women is immense. He brought them into the public arena and to fight against the Britishers. It was somewhat historical. But he was also against women coming out of home and do the economic work in the society and go for economic independence. So many feminists do not like this idea of Gandhi and think that he was very conservative. So leaving apart that, another issue which you talk about environment. I think environment issues are becoming more and more important these days. Gandhi was not dealing with those issues. And if we consider Gandhian principles as a solution to this issue, we must also accept a Gandhian way of life, of voluntary poverty, a life which does not care about the material well being and material successes. So, are we ready today to accept that way of life which Gandhi himself lived and proclaimed? So, unless and until we are ready to change our style of living, that only talk about the Gandhian principles can solve the problem of environment is somewhat, we must say, in Hindi we call it some sort of dhong we go on doing all the time.
No, no, people
So,
say it's utopian.
so yeah, it is in a very good sense you call it utopian, but the whole thing is, if you ask any young person of today what to think about Gandhi, he will not be able to say any concrete relevance of Gandhi in the modern context, as Professor Ranjit Ghosh has pointed out that in this era of international violent conflicts, where is that non-violence? So, I think you must single out at least one issue and one relevant principle of Gandhi, which is still very much relevant in this modern world, which is very much different from the world Gandhi lived in. So, my suggestion is only, and whenever I speak on Gandhi, I am very happy to speak on Gandhi. Many times I have spoken. I find that the whole idea of satyagraha is very, very much relevant. It may not be relevant in the conflict between Israel and Palestine, but the thing is, there are a lot of conflicts within the society. We have seen in recent uh, years the farmers struggle, the citizenship issue struggle, and many other things which the state is not willing to take into account, and people have to come out against the state and make a protest, a non-violent protest, and make them uh, accept somewhat their issues, their demands. So I think we must think about this as a very, very valid contribution of Gandhi, which is very much different from the traditional ahimsa of Indian classical tradition, and it takes much from the Western tradition also. So we should not talk about Gandhi talking about Indian knowledge system and all that nonsense. We must think that he was a great synthesizer of ideas, and he took ideas from anywhere which were workable. He will accept them after after using them, because his own autobiography is the experiments with truth. So he will experiment with those ideas, and I think that methodology of Gandhi, and with that methodology, when he was able to bring about the idea of satyagraha, I think this is the lasting contribution of Gandhi. Thank you.
Exactly, sir. Exactly, so. I do wholeheartedly agree with you.
Thank you.
Must say something. Thank you.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes. I do wholeheartedly agree with him. And the idea of satyagraha that he has pointed out, other aspects, it is he was visualizing at a time when he perhaps was not looking beyond what India would be during the later part of the 20th century or the coming 21st century. So his views then, and one thing that I mean, he was saying that we have enough for our needs, not enough for. I think that has been attributed to Gandhi. Gandhi had never said this actually. He had merely talked about environmental disorders, which are about these things, but how, what you call, not to exploit those sources of nature which do not have the power to replenish themselves and would pollute the atmosphere. But other things Sir said spoke about is so relevant when he talks about Satyagraha. That is one of his most lasting contributions. Other things are always debatable, as he pointed out rightly so, how far it can be done, whether non-violence is being applicable now, because he could never have visualized a man like Donald Trump at that point of time. He could never have visualized a man like and a country which was talking about human rights and all those things. But then this is what has come to 21st century, when you have the Gen Z control. I mean, total transformation in ideas and basic values have come changed so much that at times we feel that how far actually his ideas are relevant. But even then, as I said, people still think whether it can be workable or not, and that is why research is also going on, how far we could work upon. And as we said, I repeat again, that all these global thought leaders certainly saw something in him, in his ideas, that they, one of the greatest revolutionaries like Ho Chi Minh would be saying this. Ho Chi Minh would be saying this, and Nelson Mandela, of course, and all these people that we're talking about, means that somewhere down the line, as Sir pointed out, historical Gandhi, as long as these freedom struggles would be going on, one would be invoking Gandhi, so much so, as we said, Nargis Mehmoodin Iran is still doing that. So that is where his relevance comes in. Other aspects, he said, debatable, can be worked out, cannot be worked out, and this what you call Gram Swaraj system. In the name of Gram Swaraj system, every political party is trying to impose his authority. There is name is only decentralization, but it is only the imposition of power on the entire power structure, starting from local self-government right up to the top, that we have it. So that is why many people have said that his views might be utopian, views are conservative, views are reactionary, that he is very crafty and all that. But even then, as certain facts which are so relevant is that, as Sir pointed out about satyagraha, and of course his idea that he had thought about this Sarvodaya when he was talking about little Bhutan is talking about gross national happiness. He was thinking of that everyone rise should be for everyone, where even distribution could be made, and talking of an egalitarian society. I think that is my personal view, which again can be debated. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Here,
Pleasure.
one thing comes to my mind. Well, Professor Mahanti sir spoke of Einstein referring to Gandhi.
Hmm. Hmm.
That years to come, it would be hard to believe that such a man in blood and flesh ever walked on this earth. One
Hmm.
more statement of Einstein, not linked with Gandhi, but to the general to the general public, to and to all. He said, "If at all," Einstein said like this: "If at
Yes.
all there is a third world war, I
Hmm.
know not with what weapons it would be fought. But
Hmm.
if there is a fourth world war, it
Hmm.
would definitely be fought with bricks, sticks, and stones."
Yes.
So you see the devastation that if at all there is a third world war, the sort of devastation that it would bring in. And if
Hmm.
there is a fourth world war, human civilization will be left with nothing but bricks,
But
sticks, and
yes.
stones.
Hmm. Hmm.
So this statement of Einstein clearly speaks of how relevant the ideas of Gandhiji are still today. If we don't
Yes.
realize the Gandhian sense of non-violence, days
Hmm.
ahead we will be back to the old Stone Age where we are left
Yes.
with bricks and sticks,
Hmm.
and we
Hmm.
the technology that we cherish today, we speak of today, it would be of no use. It will be a great devastation. So Gandhian philosophy is much relevant, and this statement of Einstein reminds
Hmm.
us how relevant is Gandhi even today. Thank you so much,
Thank you so much.
Professor Rao, may
sir.
I make a little
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
moderation in Einstein's comment when he
Yes, sir.
says
Yes,
it
sir.
is hard to believe that such a person ever walked on earth. I add that it is harder to believe such a person was born in India, a land
Yes.
full of corruption.
Very
That's
true.
what he
Very
says.
true. Very true.
so,
Very true.
so I always say Einstein was not aware of Indian conditions. Otherwise, he would
Exactly.
have added this to his
Yes.
statement.
Yes. 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 Very true.
Mhm.
Very true. Very true.
Yes.
Hmm.
Whether we failed Gandhi or Gandhi failed India, this is also
India.
debatable.
Hmm. Debatable. Yes. I think we fail Gandhi. I think we fail Gandhi. We only invoke him, like I said, only when elections come, when opportunities come, we've transformed him into a commodity. That so far as he serves our purpose in getting votes, we say talk about Gandhi and Gandhi. Otherwise, there is no Gandhi for us. We have killed
Yes,
Gandhi.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Gandhi is a great success, but we are a great failure.
I want to bring another point which Professor Mahanti has made, and that is most important. It is having a great philosophical implication. As he said that during the formation period or the Constituent Assembly period, he was going to the history. The reform-based agenda was transformed into right-based agenda. Now, the present day politicians, they are trying to play with this. They are saying that they want to bring reform. They want to give right to the people. But in the eyes of reform, they are bringing all sorts of works or the actions will taking the rights from each and every citizen. That is what
Yes.
my observation. Thank you. Thank you.
Very. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Very
you.
true.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much,
Very
sir.
true.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Let us move to Professor Sambasiva Prasad, sir. Sir, namaskar, sir, please. Then we'll move to
Namaskar,
Amita Valmiki, sir.
Namaskar, Namaskar, and
Namaskar.
I have to thank we have listened very humane to talk by Professor Mohanty today on Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy, and it is very relevant to us. Let it be my just I will make a few observations, namely. You will let it be the political philosophy or economic philosophy, social philosophy, religious philosophy, and whatever the philosophy of Mahatma Gandhi, it is based upon two fundamental concepts, namely truth and non-violence. For him, truth is the end and non-violence is the means. We have to achieve truth through non-violence. That is the ahimsa. And the learned speaker, he has Professor Mahanti has touched upon several points of Mahatma Gandhi in his lecture: truth and non-violence, satyagraha, sarvodaya, and his village economy and criticism of Western civilization, Swadeshi, universal education, and so many concepts Professor Mahanti has touched upon in his lecture. It's all right, sir. We understand about. He has also referred to First World War, where India, Mahatma Gandhi called. He invited the Indians to participate in the war on behalf of the Britishers. There, in that context, it is true, as Professor Mahanti said, Gandhi was a question. When you are a man of non-violence, why you supported Britishers in the First World War, and he invited Indians to participate in the war. Then Gandhi said, we were under the rule of, he felt because India then, the First World War was under the rule of the Britishers, it is the duty of the Indians to oblige to the Britishers to participate in the war. Apart from this, what I want to just make a small observation here is, it is true, Gandhian philosophy is an excellent one, and we had to, it is for development in all fields. But the thing is, but what is the wars they present the world? In the world, we are witnessing the Israel, America, and Iraq war, and Ukraine, Russian war, and like that. And here, the thing is, there is so much destruction, there is so much devastation, there is so much waste of money and power and thing. And here, nations are they want to grab the power and they want to. It is a power politics. Now the power politics is playing on now. So is it Gandhi? Is it this way of this way that Gandhi wanted people to live? No. Gandhi said we have to, it is against the Gandhian philosophy. So it is true in books and lectures and everything, Gandhian philosophy is okay. If you read a book on Gandhian philosophy, if you publish a book on Gandhian philosophy, if the concepts in Gandhian philosophy, they are okay for us for discussion, for lecturing, and for debate and whatnot. But are we following this? Whether the rulers of the countries of the present day world are they following the Gandhian concepts of truth and non-violence? No, they are far away from these two great ideals of Mahatma Gandhi. The thing is, for a scholarly work and for scholarly debates and everything, for reading and everything, it is an excellent one, Gandhian philosophy. But while while the question of implementation of Gandhian ideas for our livelihood, for our living today in the contemporary world, we are not implementing them. We are not. So this is something pathetic. So implementation of Gandhian ideas is lacking, and that is the reason why we are far away from the spiritual and religious and the ideas of Mahatma, unless we implement the Gandhian ideas in our not in but in our practical, practical living, the Gandhian philosophy will have no value. It has got a value, but these values of Gandhian philosophy, we are not able to implement them because the
Right.
modern man's thinking is going like that. So this is only my observation, sir.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. One more thing I'd like to say here. Sir just pointed, I mean, previous speaker, Ranjit Babu pointed out, I think, about party.
Sir, put on your microphone, sir. Kharwal, sir. Put on your microphone, sir. Kharavela, sir. Sir, put on your microphone. You are not audible. Sir, please put on your microphone. Microphone in the mobile, sir. Please put on, sir.
It is muted.
If
Unmute.
you, Pramod, sir, whether you have muted, just check in the system, sir, please. Whether you have muted. Acha. Now, is it? Acha. Okay. Okay, he has left. Maybe he's joining. You see, no, sir. Actually, the recording to today's recording would not be fine because when others were speaking, sir's microphone was on. That's why the recording is not clear this day. Sir's microphone was on when others were speaking.
Okay, recording is okay, sir.
No, it
When
visibility. No, the audibility was not clear. Anyway, sir has
okay,
joined.
okay. Huh.
Yes, sir. Please put on your microphone. Please unmute, sir. Sir, you're not audible, sir. Sir, you're not audible.
Can
Now
you
all
hear
right.
me now?
No, yes, sir. Yes, done. Yes.
And yeah, one thing I would just like to point out here, and that is number one, Mahatma Gandhi till the very last was against partition. He said India would be divided only on my dead body. Number one. By the time partition was happening, actually, Gandhi was a dejected, depressed man because he was isolated and alone. The only two persons who stood behind him when India was being divided were the two Muslims, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad and Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan. Rest, all of them wanted, the entire Congress leadership, they wanted partition, wanted to come away from what was happening because after this interim government, when Liaquat Ali Khan became the finance minister, and he would not allow Patel to have even what you call furnitures for his office, and he kept Patel standing at his doors. That was the time Patel insisted that We don't want anything of that sort. Let them go. Let India be divided, but the Muslim League must go. And Nehru also wanted that we need to have a strong center where we cannot just work with them. So only two people who stood behind Mahatma Gandhi till the very last to avoid partition were the two Muslims, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad and Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan. That is what. So the question of integrating Hindus and Muslims, there are long stories. So many things have come up actually. So integrating them was just during the time of partition, there was so much hatred and animosity that to bring about what you call and people working in different directions, extreme forms of Hindu philosophy, and on the other way Muslim philosophy working together. There was hardly any possibility of whatever was could be done. They tried to do through having what you call a secular constitution, secularism, whatever you call, and what is happening now actually. But Gandhi, to blame Gandhi for partition, I don't think would be right, because Gandhi was against partition till the very last, and no one listened to him at that point of time, and that is why he said the Congress, whatever had to be achieved has been achieved. So the Congress should be disbanded. But then the idea of power politics had crept into such an extent that no one was willing to give up the Congress, and the rest of the story is known to all.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Well, let us
Sir,
move to Amita madam. Amita madam. Namaskar, madam.
may I add
Namaskar.
one sentence, sir?
No, sir, because we are running short of time, let us listen to Amita madam and then we'll move forward, sir. Because Amita madam, we'll come back to you, sir. Sir, please excuse us, sir. Amita madam, please.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
come back to
Thank
you,
you
sir.
so much, sir. Sir, it was a wonderful lecture, and thank you so much for this talk.
Thank
You
you.
said that service for the family, that is unadulterated. He emphasized on this point. I want to know the meaning of what do you mean by unadulterated? Secondly, I want to know because I literally see the concept of patriotism, as Gandhi emphasized, is very different from the concept of patriotism that is being followed today. And lastly, that I feel, is this a hierarchy, service to the family and service to the nation, or patriotism? Is this hierarchical order? Then it is problematic, I feel.
No, it is not in a hierarchical order. He says
Right.
everything unadulterated means, I mean, without any inhibition, the support for
Okay.
my family, to stand by my family. That is what I
Okay.
meant actually. Yes,
Yeah.
without it. And there is no hierarchy, because wherever you see, like I mentioned, Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon Bonaparte was actually a dictator in the garb of a democrat. He was trying to bring in Bonapartism by removing the Bourbon dynasty. But then his first thing that he was saying when he was the first consul of France, he was saying that unless your family is stable, and every discipline, everything that you talk of, family is the foundation. So whatever foundation you get in the family, that would ultimately, if their family is stable, society would be stable. Society stable, nation would be stable. So Gandhi says the first dharma is towards one's family. Everything that you learn, because a family is your first teacher, parents are your first teachers. So whatever you learn from your family, and just as you have rights, you also have duties. That is what he had said. And so, beginning from the family, first dharma is family, and the second dharma is patriotism. If you love your family, you will love your country. That is what he was trying to say. But then,
Thank
how
you.
far it is applicable, how far it is acceptable or not, I mean, these were his views. They could be debated. They could be
Yeah.
debated.
So patriotism, what Gandhi meant at that time, and which was very relevant, okay. But patriotism in today's time, don't you
Hmm.
think it is too violent a concept?
Yes, yes. You are very true. You are very true. So violence had no place in Gandhi's imagination. In his wildest dreams, he wouldn't, identify patriotism with violence. So
Yes,
today
yes.
you say, yes, he wouldn't identify patriotism with violence, because violence was a concept which was totally, totally unacceptable, totally unethical. He could not just ever think to become a patriot, you need to become violent, to become a terrorist. That was beyond his concept.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Let us move to Radhanath Bera, sir. Then we'll have a question, last word from Sambasiva Prakash, sir. Radhanath Bera, sir. Sir, namaskar, sir.
Namaskar. Thank you very much. Time is running out.
Yes,
Gandhi is so vast as an ocean. To touch Gandhi in a brief period of time is a Herculean task.
yes,
Professor Mahanti admirably accomplished his duty. From the historical point of view, may I suggest one line from Arnold Toynbee?
yes,
He
sir.
said, he said, at this atomic age, the only alternative for human survival is the Indian way. Emperor Ashoka's principle of coexistence, Sri Ramakrishna's principle of harmony of religions, and
Yes,
Mahatma Gandhi's principle of truth and non-violence. There is hardly any alternative to that. Because you are a
yes,
student of history, you dealt with so many ideas from historical perspective. It is my duty to remind you that Acharya Kripalani, the ardent follower of Gandhi, was a student of history. He
yes,
said, Bapu, you are challenging a sort of imperialism with the principle of non-violence. I have scanned the entire vistas of history. Nowhere I have come across such an example where, without leading to violence, anywhere freedom was obtained. Gandhi said,
yes,
let us not follow the bad example of history. Let us create a new one. And he did create. That was
yes,
one. You know,
exactly.
it is said violence is the history of man, but it was amended by Dr. Radhakrishnan, saying that if violence is the history of man, non-violence is the dream of the wise. Gandhi dreamt it wisely, and the whole philosophy of non-violence was at his beck and call, and he could implement it. Next, when you say Gandhi's relevance is felt everywhere, from Ho Chi Minh in Vietnam to Nelson Mandela to Desmond Tutu to Martin Luther King Jr., who championed the cause of Gandhi, saying that Black Lives Matter. That is important. Of course, we know, except South Africa, most of the Asian, I mean African countries are not for Gandhi. He said he did everything for Indians living in South Africa and nothing for we black Negroes. Maybe he was not a superhuman being to
Right.
wipe every tear from every human eye.
Every eye. Yes.
Yeah, Nehru said that is beyond us. But as long as there would be tears in the human eye, our effort would be to clean it, to wipe it out. So these are some of the ideas which Gandhi said. But the most important thing, as our friend was discussing, he never anticipated Donald Trump. But was he
Right.
not? But was he not capable of seeing the atrocity perpetrated by a more violent man, the Nazi ruler Hitler? Did he not
Yes.
see the violence everywhere perpetrated by Hitler?
Yes.
I think
Very much.
compared to Hitler, Donald Trump stands
Trump.
nowhere in
Yes.
atrocity at least. Yeah. So Gandhi forgave him. He used to say, uh, I will not serve India at the cost of England or France, I mean Germany, because I would not believe in an India which falls flat, uh, suffering from the atrocity perpetrated by our rulers, masters. India has to raise its throat in one way or other if it calls upon us to choose between cowardice and violence. I would certainly choose violence. Look at the
Yes.
man.
Hmm.
Look at his thought process. He
Yes.
never said everything on the whimsically. He used to
Yes.
always complain that it is the situation that would determine your action to be taken up.
Exactly.
Gandhi,
Exactly. Exactly.
Gandhi was no ordinary soul
Hmm.
because
Sir,
he
just
was,
a second. His basic ideas, basic thoughts never changed during the course of his 40 years of what you call active life that he led. But he adjusted his ideas according to various circumstances, as you pointed out just
right,
rightly.
right. And
Thank you so much, sir. Because the
one
admin,
line, sir,
sir,
one line, sir.
yes, sir,
When he
please.
was taunted brutally, the London Times offered an apology, saying that the second crucifixion in the history of the world has been enacted on a Friday, the same day Jesus was done to death
Yes.
1950 years ago.
Ago.
Last
Yes.
line lamentably confessed, Father, forgive us. That is
Yes.
the relevance of Gandhi. Nowhere
Yes.
in the entire world, of either from Jesus Christ onwards, you will find a man of his stature after his enlightenment. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Well, very nicely rise from Behra, sir. But since our admin has to leave somewhere at 8:35, we are restricted to stop this. But last line, one line from Sambasiva Prasad, sir, before we close, because the admin has to go somewhere.
Sir,
He has
thank
an
you very
important
much, sir.
assignment.
Thank you very
One
much
line, sir, please. One line, sir,
for
please.
giving me opportunity to speak on this occasion. When Professor Mahanti said Gandhi was against the partition of India and Pakistan, yes, he was right. He was very much right, sir. On the day of first Independence Day, when Gandhi was invited to participate in celebrations in Delhi, he declined to participate the celebrations at Delhi. On that
Exactly.
day, yes, on that day, he was in a place, a remote place called Navakali, where the Hindu
Yes.
Muslim rights are they were going on. So he was dead against the separation of India and Pakistan on the basis of the religion. In fact, he said that he was ready to make Jinnah as the prime minister of the
Prime
united
Minister.
India and Pakistan. But
Yes.
so all his views were rejected, and Gandhi was rejected, and Gandhi's ideas were rejected, and Gandhi's was not taken care of at the end when India and Pakistan were divided on religious grounds.
Thank you
So
so much,
it
sir.
Very
is
true.
not a failure. It is not a failure of Gandhi. Somewhere, actually, Alok Tandon said it is not a failure of Gandhi, but it is the failure of the people who did not understand and divided, and they were ready to divide the country into India and Pakistan. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right, sir. Thank you.
One man cannot solve all the problems. Some problems are there to others to complete, to solve them. One man cannot
Yes.
complete, cannot solve all the problems. He has done
Exactly. Right.
what he has
Right.
done,
Right.
enough he has done. And we
Yes.
cannot blame Gandhi for what is
Mm,
unsolved. It is left to
mm,
us, and we should look into that, how to
mm.
solve them. That is how we respect Gandhi. That is how we should take Gandhi. We should take what Gandhi has taught us, and not that, well, the failures would be there. We are human beings. We are not divine beings coming to
Yes.
on earth.
Mm,
We are
mm.
human beings. We are human sense. There would be failures, but what Gandhi has done, the world has observed some failures, some defects would be there. And it is a challenge for all of us to see how we can fructify Gandhi and make Gandhi so relevant. Thank you so much. Well, over to our
Excellent.
admin for the last lines to close the webinar. Namaskar,
Yes,
sir.
yes, Dr. Thank you, Dr. Rao. Actually, every Sunday we shall try to close the session maximum at 8:30. Otherwise, it will be an indication of a violence. Because the speaker will be exhausted. Because he spoke for more than 1 hour, then discussion maximum 1 hour. So we shall finish at 8:30. This should be the decorum of the webinar. So we should minimize our observation by in a decorum way. Anyway, discussion was very good and the initial talk was very nice. It is very simple thing that two things cannot be debated at any point of time in future. These are truth and non-violence. Can there be debate on truth? Can there be debate on non-violence? Can we promote violence in our family? So it is always relevant to all the ages to come. It is relevant for all generations. So when Mahatma Gandhi spoke about truth, the base was philosophy, and when he spoke about non-violence, the base was ethics. So non-violence does not mean there is a physical tussle between two people. He said that non-violence should be observed by thought, speech, and action. Even there should not be manasa hinsa. Even one should not have evil thought for others. So violence begins from our thought when we think ill of others. So that should be culture. That should be culture in our philosophical ideas and also ethical practices. So very rightly, Professor Mahanti discussed about all the points. I am not going to all the points, but so far as truth and satya, truth leads to satyagraha, that one should have agraha for holding truth, observing truth in practice, realizing truth and practicing truth in life. And non-violence should be practiced in thought, speech, and action. And that should begin from charity. Charity should begin from family. Similarly, truth and violence should be practiced from the ground level of